students, we will continue with our lesson, flow of energy in an ecosystem. All right. Yesterday I had covered up quite a lot of matter for you. Today we will deal with the rest of the lesson there. I hope you all enjoy it. Flow of energy in an ecosystem there. All right, I continue. Now, I will start with a new topic, that is biogeochemical cycle. Biogeochemical cycle. Okay. What does this word mean? Can anybody tell me? What does this terminology mean or this term mean? Biogeochemical cycle. Okay, I will tell you the answer there. The cyclical flow of nutrients. It is nothing but the cyclical flow of nutrients in an ecosystem. Okay, what is geocycle? The cyclical flow. The cyclical flow of nutrients. The cyclical flow of nutrients in an ecosystem, all right, is called as what? Is termed as biogeochemical. Is termed as biogeochemical cycle. The flow of nutrients. Now, I am using the word nutrients. The word nutrients. What does this word nutrient mean? Yes, can anybody tell me what does this word nutrient mean? Yes, nutrient is nothing but the constituents or substances that are needed for the growth of a body, or the growth of organisms. All right, I repeat, nutrients are nothing but substances which are needed for the growth of our body. Okay, I repeat again that biogeochemical cycle is nothing but the cyclical flow. It is following a certain set pattern. Okay, the cyclical flow of nutrients in an ecosystem is termed as biogeochemical cycle. And I told you nutrients. Nutrients are necessary for the development of organisms, and they are transferred from abiotic factors to the biotic factors and vice versa, that is from the biotic factors back to the abiotic factors in an ecosystem. Yesterday we had learned, when I introduced the lesson, we had discussed about abiotic factors, the biotic factors, everything there. So, what is happening? Even these nutrients that are being consumed by living organisms for their development, they are transferred. Okay, they are transferred from the abiotic factors to the biotic factors, that is, they are absorbed by the living organisms for their various metabolic activities, and then it is again, after the death of the plants or the animals, it is getting transferred back to the abiotic factors in an ecosystem. I hope this part is clear to all my children there. Okay. Now, I go to the next point, that is, this biogeochemical cycle operates through a medium. Okay. It operates through a medium there. It operates, this biogeochemical cycle operates through a medium. Now, can you tell me what do you mean by the word medium over here? Yes, I mean the entire universe, all the different aspects, that is, I term it to the biosphere. This is the medium. Okay. From the biosphere, we have the atmosphere, we have the lithosphere. I can also call it as the hydrosphere. You have learned all these different spheres, all right. The biosphere includes the atmosphere, the lithosphere and the hydrosphere. This is the medium, all right, how it is. And what is happening is this recycling of chemical, geological and biological sources of nutrients in a complex process and is completely dependent upon the transfer of energy in the ecosystem. I am telling you the recycling of what? I told you the abiotic factors and the biotic factor. It has to be coming vice versa, isn't it? Whatever is used up, taken up by the plants for all the various metabolic activities, they grow, they live, they survive, and afterwards when it dies, it goes back there. So, what are they saying? The recycling of chemical, geological and biological sources of nutrients is a complex process and it is completely dependent upon the transfer of energy level in an ecosystem. Okay? Now, when I am talking of the next point is there are types in this biogeochemical cycle also. We are having two different aspects of it. Which are the two types of biogeochemical cycle? One is the gaseous cycle, and the other one is the sedimentary cycle. One is the gaseous cycle and the other one is the sedimentary cycle. So, which are the two types of biogeochemical cycles, children? The two types of cycles are the gaseous cycle and the sedimentary cycle. Okay? Let me tell you, the gaseous cycle is nothing but the accumulation of the various or the different types of gases that are found in the atmosphere. Yes, it is found in the Earth's atmosphere. It is all collected in the Earth's atmosphere, all right. And which are the different types of gases, then you can tell me? You have carbon dioxide, you have nitrogen, you have oxygen, all right. You have water vapor. So, where is all this? This is all enveloping the Earth's atmosphere. They are all accumulated in the atmosphere there, okay. Now, when I talk about sedimentary cycle, now when this word sedimentary comes up, you may be knowing that, ma'am, it is concerned with the soil, right. Sedimentary cycle is what? Nothing which is concerned with the soil over there. So, what is it? It is again an accumulation, collection, all right. It is found in the soil, the sediment and the sedimentary rocks of the earth, all right. This type of a cycle is an accumulation of things found in the soil, the sediment and the sedimentary rocks of the earth. Yes, and what does it include? It includes all the components of the soil, okay. It includes the soil components where we can find in minerals, all right. Minerals are also there which are useful for the growth of plants, or they support the plants with the necessary nutrients from the soil, or we have to supplement it, but it is already occurring in the, or it is already found on the soil too. Which are those? It is nothing but iron, calcium and phosphorus, okay. Again, sedimentary rock, it is sedimentary cycle. What is it? It is something, it is an accumulation which is found in the soil, all right. And what does the soil contain? It contains iron, calcium, phosphorus and all those things which are necessary for the growth of plants there, all right. Now, let me tell you one more thing. The gaseous cycle which is there, is speedier than the sedimentary cycle. The gaseous cycle is speedier or works faster than the sedimentary cycle. For this, I will just give you an example of carbon dioxide, all right. Carbon dioxide is accumulated in an area. Yes, carbon dioxide gets accumulated in an area, but it is quickly dispersed with the wind or absorbed by plants. All right, carbon dioxide, you know that carbon dioxide. How is carbon dioxide useful for a plant there? yes, to prepare its food, right. Carbon dioxide is accumulated, carbon dioxide accumulated in an area is quickly dispersed. It can be sent forward there by the medium of wind or is absorbed by the plants for the process of photosynthesis to happen, that the preparation of food. But besides this, you should remember that climatic changes and human activities affect the speed, intensity and equilibrium of the cycles of the cycle. Remember that climatic changes, yes, climatic changes, then you can say human activities, what you and I do affect the speed, the intensity and equilibrium of these cycles. All right. Now we move on to the new topic, that is the carbon cycle. Yes, when I wanted to, before I proceed to the carbon cycle, I just want you to know the biogeochemical cycle. Yes, they have in the textbook you have been given with a diagram there. Okay, it is the interaction of the hydrosphere, atmosphere, lithosphere with the biosphere there. Yes, atmospheric interactions, environment interaction, hydrosphere, and even the conversion of lithosphere into rocks and soil there. The withering of rocks and all those things is also coming up over there. Remember that, children. Okay. Now we move on to the carbon cycle. Yes, the circulation. Here I will write the carbon cycle. How will you define the carbon cycle, or what is the carbon cycle? Let us see. The circulation and recycling of carbon from the atmosphere to the living organisms and after their death back to the atmosphere is called as a carbon cycle. I repeat again, listen to the definition that I am giving you for carbon cycle. It is the circulation and recycling of carbon from the atmosphere to the living organisms and after their death back to the atmosphere is called as the carbon cycle there. Okay. Now remember another important thing, that carbon is an abiotic form. Abiotic form of carbon atoms are circulated and recycled through two major processes, that is photosynthesis and respiration. All right. When photosynthesis happens, they prepare their own food, and the plants use carbon dioxide. When human beings respire, they give out carbon dioxide. When plants also at night time, when they respire, what do they give out? They give out carbon dioxide there. Okay. Now before I go further with the lesson, can anybody tell me what is the definition of for carbon cycle, or how will you define carbon cycle, or what is meant by carbon cycle? I will repeat that once again for you children. The circulation and recycling of carbon from the atmosphere, the circulation and recycling of carbon from the atmosphere to the body of the living organisms. Yes, it is taken up by the body of living organisms, and after their death, after the plant or the organism or the animal dies, what happens? It goes back to the atmosphere, and this cycle is called as what? Nothing but the carbon cycle. All right. Now plants convert, now you know that plants convert the carbon dioxide, that is when they prepare their food, they use up the carbon dioxide, isn't it? The plants use the carbon dioxide and they convert it into what? Into a substance or into a constituent called as carbohydrate, all right, by the process of photosynthesis. All right. Similarly, they produce, when it is being converted also, what are we seeing? That they produce some carbon compounds. When the process is happening, certain carbon compounds are formed. Which are those carbon compounds? They are nothing but proteins. Which are those carbon compounds I spoke to you? They are nothing but proteins there. You know that proteins are also very useful for the body. You know that. Yes, proteins and fats. They form what? Proteins and fats. Yes, proteins and fats. What is that point I told you, that when plants convert carbon dioxide into carbohydrates during this process or during the process of photosynthesis, what is happening? They carbon compounds form, like proteins and fats are formed. Okay. Now, even if these things are formed, by whom is it consumed? By whom is this carbohydrate consumed? Yes, By whom are they consumed? It is consumed by the herbivores. Yes, these plants. The plants are preparing photosynthesis. They are preparing. So, the herbivores, what happens? They feed on the plants, and right, and plants, and the carnivores, they feed on the herbivores, right, and in this way the biotic carbon is transported from the plants to the herbivores, and from the herbivores to the carnivores, and from the carnivores to the apex consumers. Let me tell you again there, the herbivores feed on plants, yes, that is the carbohydrates which has having proteins, fats and all those things there. Yes, the herbivores feed on the plants and the carnivores feed on the herbivores, and from the plant body it is going to the body of the herbivores, and the herbivores to the carnivores, and from the carnivores to the apex consumers there. Okay. And what is happening at the end after the plant or the animal or everything where it grows, what happens? There is an end to every living thing, isn't it? Is it? After death all the consumers are decomposed. Okay. After that what happens? All the bodies or the living parts of organisms are decomposed by decomposers, namely the bacteria and fungi which are present in the soil, are decomposed by the bacteria and fungi which are present in the soil. Yes, and what happens at this time? Again, during the process of decomposition, what is being released? Carbon dioxide is being released into the atmosphere. Okay, carbon dioxide is being released into the atmosphere. And this carbon dioxide which is being released, what is happening? Is being again used by the organisms, okay, which are living. Yes, the dead ones are decomposing and the carbon dioxide is being released, and this carbon dioxide which is being released is being used by again the living organisms. All right. So, this carbon cycle is continuously passed on from one organism to the other. Getting me how the cycle is being maintained over there in the atmosphere? Yes, plants consume, those plants are eaten by the herbivores, herbivores are eaten by the carnivores, and from the carnivores it reaches the top layer or the apex consumers there, and when these organisms die, it is again going back into the soil and it is being absorbed, it is being recycled. That is why we call it as a carbon cycle there. Okay, for this I have a small equation to give you there, children. For this I have a small equation that is there. Main process, that is okay, children, this equation you need to learn it by heart. That is the main process that is happening in the carbon cycle, that is carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. What does it forms? It forms a substance called as C6H12O6, which is nothing but glucose. Yes, and at the same time, and what is released? Plus water plus oxygen is being released into the air atmosphere, and that is what we breathe in. Glucose for energy for doing a different activities there. And even this C6H12 with the presence of oxygen in our cell, that is in the mitochondria, which is called as the powerhouse of the cell, It is being used up for different activities. Yes, after it has been used up for the activities, what is being released? Carbon dioxide is being released along with water and the energy that we perform or the work that we do. Okay? I hope this is clear. You need to learn this equation by heart. We move on to the next topic, that is the oxygen cycle. This is also very simple, children. There is nothing much difficult in this to understand. It is quite simple. Or the oxygen cycle there. Again, if I ask you how will you or what is the percentage of oxygen in the atmosphere, you will tell me that oxygen constitutes almost 21%, right? Oxygen constitutes almost 21% of the in the atmosphere there. Okay, it is present in the hydrosphere as well as it is present in the lithosphere. Oxygen is present in the hydrosphere also. That is because organisms which live in underwater also need to respire. So, oxygen exists in a diffuse state over there too. All right. Now, how will you define oxygen cycle? Also, it is in the same way, that is oxygen circulation and recycling of oxygen. Circulation and recycling of oxygen within the biosphere. Here now I am taking off the biosphere. Why? Because oxygen is present in the hydrosphere, it is present in the lithosphere, it is also present in the atmosphere there, and it includes all the abiotic and the biotic components there, all right. And oxygen is continuously produced as well as used up in the atmosphere. It is produced also, and at the same time it is being used also for various purposes there. Okay. Now, if you see, oxygen is used for processes like respiration, combustion. Combustion is when you need to burn things there, right? When you light fire, oxygen supports burning. You have learned in the lower classes, oxygen supports burn. So, that is why I have used the term as combustion. Yes, it is also needed for the decomposition of substances. Corrosion. Corrosion is when the things get corroded, metals and all those things get corroded or rusted. Oxygen is being used for all these purposes also. Okay. Now, oxygen is found in nature, as I told you in the earlier also. Oxygen is found in nature and it exists in various forms there. Yes, molecular oxygen, that is O2. Molecular oxygen, it is O2. Yes, molecular oxygen is O2. It is found in water, that is H2O. Yes, it is the different forms of oxygen I am talking of, and it is also found in CO2, that is all inorganic compounds. Yes, these are the different forms of oxygen there, all right. Oxygen exists in different molecular forms, that is O2, H2O and CO2 there, all right. These are all forms of oxygen there, found in various forms. Now, let me tell you that microorganisms that use oxygen for respiration are called as aerobes. Now, here I need to just give you a hint about the topic aerobes and anaerobes. Yes, I need to talk about just two main terms, that aerobes and anaerobes. Okay, aerobes and which need oxygen. Yes, which they need oxygen. And what about anaerobes? Yes, the oxygen is those who do not need oxygen are called as anaerobes. They need aerobes need oxygen and anaerobes do not need oxygen. Yes, for their various activities that they perform over here. Okay. Now, we move on to the next topic, that is the nitrogen cycle. The nitrogen cycle, what I am talking of. Okay. Now, I told you 21% of the Earth's atmosphere is made up of oxygen, 78% of it is made up of nitrogen. Yes, that is it. So, I'll have to go, I'll just go back to the definition of carbon cycle. What is the definition for carbon cycle, children? The circulation and recycling of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Carbon from the atmosphere is of living organisms is carbon dioxide cycle, and the circulation and recycling of oxygen within the biosphere. Within the biosphere, that is, which includes the lithosphere and the hydrosphere and the atmosphere, is termed as the oxygen cycle there. We will continue with the nitrogen cycle in the next part of the lesson. I hope you all will bear with me. Thank you.